Mo, you have an open invitation to UC fans.
I do. As you know, I'm a huge UC football fan, and the Bearcats open up the season with a Big East opponent and a team that's been a pretty good rival tomorrow night on national television at Nippert Stadium. 8 o'clock your kickoff, and I'm excited to be a part of a UC broadcast team for the 13th year. Pumped about that, pumped about the game, pumped about the season. Tomorrow, UC plays on a day where the Reds are off. There's no Bengals game. The Bearcats have the Cincinnati sports stage to themselves. They've got the college football stage. They share it with Pittsburgh to themselves. It's been a frustrating few months as a UC fan who hosts a radio show. I believe there are UC fans who like to participate in forums like ours, whether it be on the phone, Twitter, email. We hear from UC fans. The problem is, I only really hear from them when Ohio State is brought up or Kentucky is brought up. And I get that, but I don't understand why UC football always has to be juxtaposed against Ohio State or another school. Tomorrow night, UC has a pretty big game. I would love to hear from UC football fans who want to talk about UC football. Not Ohio State invading the Tri-State and holding its spring game at Paul Brown Stadium. Not Kentucky's coach chucking out the first pitch. Not about how I'm a terrible host because I gave an Ohio State assistant coach 7 minutes and 43 seconds of airtime last week, compared to the numerous interviews I've done with Butch Jones and members of the UC broadcast crew. I'd like to hear from UC fans who want to talk about UC football. And I'd like to think if there was a day on the calendar where we'd be able to carve out the time and where it would be most appropriate and frankly most fun, the day of the season opener would be that day. Now, I know not everybody can call in. I get that. I know only a small fraction of our audience is actually able to pick up the phone and call or willing to pick up the phone and call, and that's fine. But ultimately, the audience does determine the direction our show goes in. If I determined by myself the direction the show would go in, most days we talk about pizza or the Knicks or Springsteen. We follow the audience's direction. UC fans, you have a chance to steer the direction, especially on the day of the opener towards your football team. Now, we've got 3 hours tomorrow. We are going to do some Reds because the Reds are relevant right now. We're going to do some Bengals because the Bengals are relevant right now. But I'd like to think that tomorrow we can devote a chunk of the show to the UC Pitt game, and it can be more than just me talking to myself. I'd love for your participation. And when I say participation, it's reacting to whatever I throw out there, maybe calling the radio show, sending me a tweet that's about your and our favorite football team, maybe an email, or just maybe suggesting a topic. I'm often told I should talk UC football more and that I shouldn't say a word about Ohio State, but there's a difference between a topic and a subject. A subject is UC football. A topic would be, which player do you think is going to be toughest to replace that left for the NFL last year? And so it's an open invitation for UC football fans, not just tomorrow, but throughout the course of the season. Now, if it works tomorrow, I'm going to feel pretty good about our prospects for talking about the Bearcats across the next 3 or 4 months. If it doesn't go so well tomorrow, on the day of the first game, I'm really going to wonder, throughout the course of the season, how much Bearcat conversation are we going to be able to really sustain on our radio show? I'm clearly still going to bring them up. I'm clearly still going to be an enthusiastic fan, and I'm clearly still going to be excited about the season. But in terms of being able to talk about them on my radio show, if it doesn't work tomorrow, then I think it's fair to wonder, when's it going to work at all in 2012? So an open invitation on tomorrow's radio show. Yes, there's going to be other topics, mostly centered around the Reds and Bengals. But in the 3 hours, we're going to have plenty of room to talk UC versus Pittsburgh. Not Ohio State necessarily, not Kentucky necessarily, not a former assistant coach, not Brian Kelly, not Notre Dame. This year's Bearcat football team, which I have high hopes for. So I'm inviting you tomorrow to join me. The phone number, by the way, is 513-749-1530. Also toll-free 1-866-702-3776. You can tweet me at moegger1530. And you can send me an email to mo@espn1530.com. We're on the air tomorrow at 3:04. Across those 3 hours, from 3:04 until 6 o'clock, we will get into the UC Pittsburgh game. If you're a Bearcat fan, I really hope you join me. Go Bearcats.